What if the moments you thought were your darkest were actually your beginning? What if the pain you've been carrying, the confusion, the tears, the loneliness, wasn't a sign that you're broken, but a sign that something deep within you is waking up? We don't talk about it enough, but the truth is this: awakening rarely feels beautiful at first. It doesn't show up with fireworks or clarity or confidence. No. It often shows up as breakdowns, heartbreaks, anxiety, and moments when everything you believed about yourself no longer feels true. But here's what you need to understand. You are not broken. You are awakening. There's a version of you that was created for survival. The version of you that learned to stay quiet, to avoid conflict. The one that kept smiling just to be accepted. The one that hid pain behind a strong face because the world said, "Be tough." But the soul can only stay buried for so long. Eventually it starts to rise, and when it does, it shakes everything that isn't real. It questions your relationships, it rattles your routines, it burns through your beliefs, and suddenly you don't feel like you anymore. But that discomfort, that lost feeling, that's not the end of you. That's the undoing of who you were never meant to be. In that place of uncertainty, you may feel like you're falling apart. But falling apart is often how the light gets in. That aching in your chest, it's the cracking open of the old story. That restlessness in your heart, it's the voice of your soul finally whispering, "There's more for you than this." This video is for anyone who feels like they're losing themselves when in fact, they're finally coming home. For the one who feels like nothing makes sense anymore, because the old patterns are no longer enough. For the one who thinks they're weak, when really, they're just growing into their strength for the first time. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to force it. You only need to feel, to listen, to let go. Because the version of you that's emerging through the pain, that's the real you, not the mask, not the performer, not the survivor, the awakened you, the aligned you, the free you. So before we begin this journey together, I need you to believe just one thing. You are not broken. You are healing. You are transforming. You are awakening. And by the end of this message, you'll never doubt that again. The pain you feel is not the end. It's the beginning. There are moments in life that feel unbearable. Moments when you can't explain the heaviness in your chest. When every breath feels like a battle and your mind whispers that something inside you is broken, maybe beyond repair. But I want to say something to you right now, something you need to hear. You are not broken. You are awakening. This pain you feel, it isn't a sign of your failure. It's a sign that your soul is stirring. That the numbness you once accepted is no longer enough, that the version of yourself that kept pretending, surviving, hiding has reached its limit. And that's not weakness, that's not the end, that's the beginning of your rebirth. Because awakening doesn't arrive as a gentle breeze, it comes as a storm. It tears down the old foundations, it shakes the illusions, it breaks the patterns you clung to for safety. And yes, it feels terrifying, confusing, isolating. But it's also necessary. The pain you're experiencing is not senseless, it's sacred. It's a signal that you can no longer live disconnected from who you truly are. That your spirit refuses to stay quiet. That something within you, something ancient, something real, is crying out to be seen. In that darkness, your first instinct might be to escape, to fix yourself, to silence the ache. But don't rush away from this moment. Sit with it, breathe through it, because in the discomfort, you'll find truth. And truth is the first light of awakening. You are shedding layers you've outgrown. Old beliefs, old habits, old pain. You're not falling apart. You're being peeled open. So something deeper, something more powerful can finally come through. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be found by yourself. The world may have told you that strength means staying busy, staying tough, staying unaffected. But real strength, it's freedom. And in facing your emotions, in questioning your old identity, in choosing to rise when everything inside you wants to give up. This is the silent transformation that most people run from. But not you. You're still here. You're listening. You're feeling. That means you're awakening. And once you begin to awaken, nothing can go back to sleep. The process has started. The shift is real. The old you is dissolving. And the real you, the one buried under years of pain and pressure, is starting to breathe again. So take this moment right here, right now, and remind yourself, I'm not broken, I'm healing, I'm rising, I'm awakening. This is not the end of your story. It's the first honest chapter of your true life. The old you had to shatter so the real you could rise. It's not easy to let go of who you used to be. That version of you, the one who laughed through the pain, who kept silent to keep the peace, who carried the weight of the world just to prove you were strong. That version got you through a lot. And maybe you loved them for it. Maybe you depended on them. But there comes a point in every person's journey when the old self can no longer carry the new truth. And when that moment comes, it feels like you're falling apart. But hear this clearly, you're not falling apart, you're shedding. You're shedding layers of survival that no longer serve you. You're releasing identities that were never really yours. The masks, the pretending, the shrinking, all of it has to break so that something real can rise in its place. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's painful. But what's happening is not your destruction. It's your emergence. This is your awakening. You see, the old you was created in a world that didn't always see your worth. A world that told you to stay small, stay quiet, stay acceptable. That version of you adapted to trauma, disappointment, abandonment, and rejection. That version of you got really good at surviving. But now, your soul is ready to live. And to truly live, you can't drag the past with you. So the universe, life, or maybe your own soul, it started breaking things. It started making you uncomfortable in places where you used to be fine. It started shaking your peace in situations where you used to settle. Why? Because the real you has been waiting underneath all that noise, waiting for a moment of truth, waiting for you to stop apologizing, to stop pleasing, to stop hiding. This pain, it's not a punishment. It's a birth. It's the ending of a story that was never meant to define your whole life. It's the moment your healing becomes louder than your hurting. And I know it's hard to say goodbye to the old you. That version tried so hard, fought so long, protected you in ways no one else could see. But their job is done now. It's time for the next version to rise. The version that no longer operates from fear, but from faith. No longer from pain, but from power. So don't run from the unraveling. Don't resist the cracking open. Let it happen. Let the walls fall. Let the light in. Because you are not broken. You are becoming. And the person you're becoming, they're not weak. They're not confused. They're not lost. They are finally free. Rock bottom is where awakening begins. Nobody plans to hit rock bottom. It sneaks up on you, quietly, slowly, then all at once. One day you're holding everything together, juggling responsibilities, pretending you're fine. And the next day, you're not. You're on the floor, emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. And you ask yourself, how did I get here? But listen to me, rock bottom isn't where your story ends. It's where your real story begins. It's not the death of your dreams. It's the death of the false identity you were clinging to. That identity, the one built on fear, pain, trauma, rejection, it couldn't take you to the next level of your life. So it had to fall. Rock bottom strips away everything you thought you needed. The approval, the applause, the masks, the expectations. And what's left is you, just you, raw, real, vulnerable. And that's exactly where transformation begins. Because when you're at your lowest, you stop performing, you stop pretending, you stop numbing, you become brutally honest with yourself. And that honesty is the soil where awakening grows. You start asking questions that matter. Who am I really? What do I want? What have I been running from? These questions don't come when life is comfortable. They come when life breaks you open, when the noise fades, when the distractions fall away, when you finally sit in silence, not to escape, but to listen. And in that silence, something sacred happens. You realize, I'm still here. I may be shattered, but I'm not finished. I may be down, but I'm not out. Rock bottom becomes your foundation, because once you've lost what you thought you couldn't live without and survived, you become fearless, you become free. You're no longer afraid of the fall because you've already hit it. And you rose. It's easy to feel shame when you're at your lowest. Society tells you to hide your pain, to look strong, to keep smiling. But true strength isn't in hiding your struggles. It's in embracing them. This season of your life may look like failure to others, but it's not. It's your spiritual awakening in disguise. It's the universe clearing space. It's your soul breaking through the surface. You're not buried. You're being planted. You're not broken. You're breaking open. So if you're on the ground right now, if everything feels like it's slipping through your fingers, I want you to breathe. And remember this, from rock bottom, you can only rise. This isn't the end. It's the invitation to finally live differently, to live honestly, to live awakened. The world told you to hide, but your soul wants to shine. From the moment you were born, the world began shaping you. Don't be too loud. Don't be too sensitive. Don't want too much. Don't take up space. And little by little, you listened. You dimmed your light. You quieted your truth. You edited yourself just to fit in. And maybe for a while it worked. You were accepted. You felt safe. You blended into the background, polite, agreeable, invisible. But deep down, something didn't feel right. You smiled on the outside while slowly fading on the inside. Because what the world told you to hide was the exact thing your soul came here to express. Your fire, your voice, your sensitivity, your boldness, your truth. You weren't born to live in hiding. You weren't made to shrink. You weren't created just to survive. You came here to shine. And that tugging feeling you've been trying to ignore, that voice inside whispering, there's more for you, that's your soul fighting to be seen again. The world may have convinced you that your light was too much, that your dreams were unrealistic, that your feelings were a weakness. But your awakening is here to prove otherwise. Your light was never too much. It was too bright for small minds. Your dreams weren't unrealistic. They were just threatening to people who gave up on theirs. Your emotions weren't weakness. They were signals, calling you back to your truth. And now, you're awakening. You're remembering. You're rising. The old stories are crumbling. The old rules no longer apply. You no longer feel comfortable living a lie. And while that feels scary, it's sacred. Because when you stop pretending, you start aligning. When you stop pleasing, you start healing. When you stop hiding, you start shining. And yes, not everyone will understand this version of you. The bold, authentic, untamed you. Some will yell, fall away. Let them. They were attached to your mask, not your soul. Your truth will shake what's fake. That's okay. You're not awakening for them. You're awakening for you. This is your homecoming. Back to the truth. Back to your heart. Back to your power. And the more you step into your light, the more you'll realize you were never broken. You were buried under fear, under shame, under years of not enough. But now you see it. You feel it. You know. You don't need permission to exist boldly. You don't need validation to speak truthfully. You don't need to be small to be loved. You were always worthy, always radiant, always powerful. You just forgot. But now, you're awakening. And the world better get ready, because the real you is about to shine like never before. You're healing in ways you can't yet see. Healing doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like staying in bed a little longer. Sometimes it sounds like silence. Sometimes it feels like doing less, not more. We live in a world that glorifies productivity, speed, and performance. But healing moves differently. It moves slowly, quietly, and often invisibly. It doesn't ask you to rush. It asks you to listen. And the truth is, you're healing, even if it doesn't look like it. Maybe you're not where you thought you'd be. Maybe you still feel pain in places you thought would have gone numb by now. Maybe you're still triggered, still uncertain, still heavy. That's okay. Because healing isn't linear. It's not a straight road. It's a spiral. You revisit old wounds, not to suffer again, but to understand them deeper, to free yourself a little more each time. You might think nothing is changing, but look closer. You no longer chase those who hurt you. You pause before reacting. You say no without guilt. You cry, not in weakness, but in release. That's healing. Real healing doesn't mean you're always happy. It means you're finally honest. You're facing the truth. You're letting go. You're reclaiming your worth, your energy, your voice. There's power in this invisible work. The power to stop generational cycles. The power to show your younger self that we don't have to live in survival mode forever. The power to say, I'm not broken, I'm rebuilding. So be gentle with yourself. Celebrate the small wins. Honor your slow days. Don't compare your path to anyone else's. They haven't walked your story. Your healing is sacred. It's not always loud, but it's always real. And soon, the world will see what you already know. You weren't falling apart, you were falling into yourself. Your sensitivity is a superpower. They told you being sensitive was a flaw. That crying made you weak. That feeling deeply meant something was wrong with you. So you toughened up. You hardened your heart. You learned to hold it all in. But now, you're awakening to the truth. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's your superpower. Feeling deeply is not a curse. It's a gift. It means you notice what others ignore. You hear what others silence. You carry a level of empathy, insight, and emotional intelligence that cannot be taught, only lived. Yes, the world hurt you. It made you think you had to build walls just to survive. But you're not here to be numb. You're here to feel. Your emotions are messengers. They're not meant to be suppressed. They're meant to be honored. When you feel sadness, it shows you what matters. When you feel anger, it reveals your boundaries. When you feel joy, it lights up the path to your purpose. And that sensitivity, it allows you to connect deeply, love fully, and create authentically. You're not cold because your heart never forgot how to care. You're not broken because your soul never gave up on feeling. This awakening is the reclamation of your softness. It's the moment you stop apologizing for your tears, your tenderness, your emotional depth. You're not too much. You're exactly enough. Let others live behind walls. Let them silence their truth. But you You're learning to live fully, and that takes courage. It takes bravery to say, I feel, I care, I'm open, because the world fears what it can't control. But your light, your sensitive, powerful, compassionate light, will not be dimmed anymore. You're not broken, you're beautifully aware. And that awareness, it's your gift to the world. You're becoming the person you needed. Think back to the younger you, the one who was confused, scared, and just trying to survive. The one who looked for safety in others, who longed for someone to understand, who begged silently for someone to just say, you're going to be okay. Now look at you, still standing, still growing, still showing up. You're not that lost version anymore. You're becoming the person you once prayed for. That's the quiet miracle of awakening. It transforms pain into purpose. It doesn't erase the scars. It teaches you to wear them with pride, because they remind you, you survived, you overcame, you kept going. You're learning to parent yourself now, to give yourself the love, patience, safety, and belief that no one else gave you. And that's not weakness, that's healing. You're not looking outside for validation anymore. You're building it within. You're trusting your instincts. You're holding your own hand through the storm. You no longer need permission to be powerful. And yes, the journey is lonely at times. It feels heavy. But every version of you that once felt abandoned, betrayed, or forgotten, now has you, fully present, fully alive. You are becoming the hero you needed, the guide, the voice of love, the calm in the chaos. And in that process, you're not just saving yourself, you're breaking cycles. You're rewriting the story for everyone who comes after you. So the next time you doubt yourself, remember who you were. Remember how far you've come. And remember this, you are not broken, you are becoming. And becoming is the most powerful thing a soul can do. You are rising, and this time, it's real. You've been through the fire. You've lost things you thought you couldn't live without. You faced yourself in the mirror and didn't recognize who looked back. You've cried in silence, healed in private, and grown in ways no one will ever fully understand. And now, it's time. You're rising. Not in the way you did before, not with force, not with fear, not to prove anything to anyone. You're rising with truth, with clarity, with purpose. Not to return to who you were, but to step into who you were always meant to be. This time it's different, because this time you're not climbing out of desperation. You're rising out of alignment. You're not chasing validation. You're embodying worth. You're not covering up your flaws. You're owning your whole self, darkness and light. This time, the foundation is stronger, because it was built in solitude, built in breakdowns, built in sacred silence, when no one saw your struggle, but you kept walking anyway. And now your strength is rooted, unshakable, quiet, solid. People may not recognize the new you. That's okay. You didn't rise for recognition. You rose for liberation. You rose because you remembered, I am not broken. I am becoming whole. This is your return to self, your return to freedom, your return to power. Let the world watch. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Because this time, you're not trying to be liked. You're trying to be real. You are rising, slowly, steadily, beautifully. And no one can take this away from you, because it was earned, in pain, in truth, in awakening. This time, it's real. So now you've heard it, the truth that the world never taught you. You are not broken, you are awakening. This pain you're carrying, this confusion you're living through, these silent battles you've been fighting, they were never signs of your failure. They were signs that your soul was calling you home. You were never weak. You were just exhausted from pretending. You were never lost. You were just being redirected. You were never broken. Your heart was cracking open so something greater could rise through it. The journey of awakening isn't loud, it isn't glamorous, it doesn't always make sense to others, it doesn't even make sense to you half the time, but it's real, it's raw, it's holy, and most importantly, it's yours. Some people will never understand your path. They'll judge you for changing, they'll question your silence, they'll mistake your growth for distance, but that's okay, they don't have to understand. They weren't meant to walk this chapter with you. This chapter is between you and your truth, and your truth is this. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you were before the world told you to forget, before the pain, before the fear, before the masks. You are rising, not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were never too far gone, that your softness wasn't a flaw, that your depth wasn't a burden, that your story isn't over. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt safe. And most of all, you are allowed to shine. So take this truth with you. Carry it into the moments when you feel overwhelmed. Let it whisper through your loneliness. Let it echo in your silence. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are realigning. You are remembering. You are reawakening. Every tear you've cried was watering the root. Every breakdown was shaking loose what needed to leave. Every time you chose to keep going, even without answers, even without support, you were stepping into your power. And now, you're standing on sacred ground. Not because you never fell, but because you got back up. Differently, stronger, wiser, clearer, awakened. The world hasn't seen the real you yet, but it will. Because you're not hiding anymore, you're not apologizing anymore, you're not sleeping through your life anymore, you're awake, and that changes everything.